Property is booming at the moment, but what about if you're looking to get yourself an international property? Expats face unique challenges that today on the Biz of Property we will look to unpack. Biz of Property starts right now. Welcome to Biz of Property, presented by Brady Buyers Advisory, where each week we will dive into the latest news and trends on the property market and answer the questions you need to know for your property journey. Now, in this episode, I'm joined by Brady Yoshia from Brady Buyers Advisory, and we are also joined by special guest Lucy Bulla, who is a former expat herself and current buyer's agent in the Sydney market, to discuss how to navigate these unique challenges. Thank you so much for your time today, both of you.
Thank you for having us.
Lovely to see you. And everyone, remember, Brady Buyers Advisory are committed to putting buyers at the centre of what they do. Being highly experienced property professionals, they create a bespoke customer experience tailored to each individual's needs, whether bidding at an auction, negotiating, or full service source and buy. Brady takes the stress out of finding your perfect property match. Now, you can learn more about them at bradymarks.com.au. And remember, while Brady Buyers Advisory is the presenting sponsor of the program, the opinions and statements expressed in the following shows are, of course, our own and that of our guests as well. Let's get right into it. And the logistics of buying property are complicated at the best of times, but managing that process from overseas is probably even more challenging. With Australia's international borders set to finally reopen, it is good news for Australians wanting to return home or even securing an investment before they leave. Brady, I wanted to start with you. What did you see in the news recently? It looks like the first time the Australian Prime Minister has acknowledged frustrations of expat Australians. Tell us a little bit more about your thoughts on that.
Yes, so in the news recently, Prime Minister Scott Morrison thanked expats around the world for their sacrifice and has acknowledged the heartbreak and frustration they've suffered being locked out of Australia. He also mentioned that for the first time since the pandemic began, Australians that have family overseas should be able to reunite at home by the end of the year, which is fantastic news.
Absolutely, it is very welcome news. I know a lot of people were extremely relieved and happy about that. It's been a really difficult time for many. Lucy, as an expat yourself, where did you live and what was important to you during your experience?
We were very fortunate. We lived in Jakarta, in Seoul and in Amsterdam, and it was a great lifestyle. But as an expat, it does come with uncertainty. You never know where or when your next posting is going to be. So for me, what became really important was that little bit of certainty of having a house to come home to, especially after we started having children.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine. And I mean, it's definitely an interesting time to consider this space at the moment. What different scenarios in which expats seek to buy in Australia? Can you tell us about that?
We have a lot of expats, mostly expats that are coming back to Australia from an overseas posting. But we also have a lot of locals here that have accepted an expatriation overseas, and therefore they're looking to secure a home or an investment property before they leave. The other sort of expats that we look after are those that are coming into Australia, international expats that are looking to set up homes, so we help them as well.
Yeah, and what would you say is the biggest challenge faced by expats wanting to purchase in Australia?
There are so many challenges, but I think the biggest one overall is the fact that they can't physically walk through the property. So we overcome this by doing a live walk through the property. It gives them a sense of how the floor plan flows. And then we take them out of the property. We walk down the street and we look at the neighbours, the streetscape, the local park, the local cafe. We find that doing it this way, it helps them to connect with the property a little bit better. Another big challenge for them is that, well, it's a good one in a way. A lot of them find that they are able to upgrade the suburb that they're coming from, but they're not sure about where they should move to. What can my budget afford me? Are the schools any good? What are the transport links like? That sort of thing. And that's where we come into play. I've been a relocation consultant prior to being a buyer's agent for over 16 years. And so I'm very used to matching people to areas and houses and schools, etc. Yeah, and I'll just talk about one more challenge that a lot of expats face, And that is the challenge, that a lot of them are still overseas when they want to secure their dream home. The dream home, because they're still overseas, in effect becomes an investment property for them for the next 2 or 3 years. So the challenge here is merging those attributes that they want in a dream home into a good investment property so that we can maximize that rental yield for them.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about a point you made there about, really taking them for a walk down the street and seeing the local cafe and even what trams and public transport and that sort of thing is available to people. Why is that so critical? I mean, because it's not just the house that needs to be acceptable moving forward, but it's also the suburb and everything that comes with that. That's really about people's life and livelihood and experience in that area.
That's correct. And when you're overseas, it's really, especially if you're going to an area that you're not familiar with, it's so important to see what is around you. The house itself or the property itself is important, but knowing who your neighbours are, is there a derelict house just down the street, or can I easily walk to a park for the kids, or can I easily walk to the cafe? All these things matter to people. Some people want to be located in a very suburban area, whereas others really want that urban feel so that the local cafe is just down there and they know that they can just hop on a tram or a bus or a train and they can get anywhere they want to get to. So having that complete package for them is always so important, especially when they're not here to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, through someone who you trust as well to get that advice. Now, as an expat yourself, did you buy a property while you were overseas?
We did. We were lucky. We had family here to help us, but we soon came to realise that what we thought was a great property, they didn't, and vice versa. So we ended up having some difficult conversations. And not only that, we really didn't take into consideration that they have lives, they have jobs, they have family and social obligations. So the time that they had to look at properties for us was fairly limited. So in hindsight, if I had to do it again, I would definitely use a buyer's agent because they are impartial. They have all the time that we want for them to go and look at properties for us. Plus they're negotiators. We found that we ended up overpaying for our property, and that would not have happened if we'd used a buyer's agent.
Now, what do you think is the biggest barrier at the moment for people potentially who really want to get into this sort of area and really invest in a property, but they're just holding back a little bit? And what do you think is the biggest barrier at the moment? And I guess what would be your advice to them?
It's the unknown, I think, especially in a hot market the way we have at the moment. Not knowing what's the agent really saying to us. Are they giving us all the information? Are we overpaying for this property? And so using a buyer's agent means that they do all the research for you. They're in the market every single day. They're in tune with what the agent is telling you and what they're not telling you and how they're telling you. And they are trained negotiators. So the risk of overpaying really is minimized if you use one.
Yeah, and talk to us a little bit just take us through the process of how it actually works from sort of start to finish, how that process all works. So when they reach out to a buyer's advocate, what's the first process there? Is it just a really relaxed conversation about what you want and what the end goal is, and then it goes from there? Or talk us through that.
It's very much like that. It's important that you have rapport with your buyer's agent. So we start with an informal chat, and then we talk about their goals, what they're aspiring to, what they want to achieve long term. Is it going to be something that they are just going to invest in and then use that equity to leapfrog to the next property? Or is it a long-term hold, their dream home that they're going to put their own stamp on? What we like to do is give them a questionnaire, and if there's a couple, we like them to complete it separately because sometimes they do differ. And then we will marry the two together. We talk about it. We make sure that there are no expectations that are unrealistic. For example, if they want a 5-bedroom home, but they only have a $3 million budget, then we're thinking maybe we need to step back a little bit and have a look at what has sold in the 5-bedroom space. Are they properties that they would buy, or do we have to relook at what we want in a property? Once we've done that, we actually start looking for property for them, and that's online, offline. We spend hours on the phone to agents. We're very fortunate because we're in the market every day. We have connections and rapport with a lot of agents, and therefore we're able to get those pre-markets and off-markets and get ahead of the competition. Once we have found a property that they like and we're all agreed, we'll do some research, make sure that they have a clear understanding of where it sits in the property market as far as price is concerned. We look at things like DA applications. We help them source a building and pest inspector or a strata report. We read through them, help them understand it all. We then strategize with them. Should we put in an offer prior, or should we go to auction? Sometimes it's very different. I mean, a lot of people don't like to go to auction, but sometimes it's actually the best option because maybe the vendor has an unrealistic expectation.
Thank you so much for walking. No, it's brilliant. Thank you for walking us through that, because it's really good to hear firsthand exactly what the experience will actually be like, and for yourself who really knows what that process is like. It's really valuable. I think sometimes people really need that raw feedback and explanation. So just to wrap up today, Brady, let's talk about some key takeaways when it does come to expats purchasing while they're overseas. What do professionals need to do?
So following on from what Lucy has said, it's very important to get professional support and not to rely on well-meaning family and friends. So it's really important to get professional support such as a financial planner and a mortgage broker, a tax accountant, one that is familiar with international tax, a conveyancer or a lawyer, immigration lawyer, and of course, a buyer's agent.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to both of you for joining us today on this. It's been super insightful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's it for today's discussion from the property space. I'd like to thank both of my guests as always. Now our audience for joining me today as well. And don't forget to head over to ticketoriginals.co for more chats and tips and updates from property to crypto, cybersecurity and many more. My name's Holly Stearnes. Thank you so much for your company.